he wanted perfection, and he wasn't gonna settle for less. He pretty much started funk, and people are still working off of that. He would actually go out and dance to make money. He would dance for like nickels, you know, and that kind of was the beginning of his moving skills.
In some
When he performed that song on the Tammy Show, that guy's going crazy with the dance. Like nobody had ever moved that fast before. James Brown was almost the antithesis of crossover. He was dark, and he knew it, and he was proud of that, and he was very raw.
Papa's got a brand new bag.
That's where the title came from, having a brand new bag, because he was doing something totally different in music, and that was really the beginning of funk right there.
he made it.
The band was just killing it every night, but he was on them so hard, you know, because he wanted perfection and he wasn't gonna settle for less. His mom left when he was a little kid, so he just never really trusted anybody, in particular women, because, I mean, if you can't trust your mother, who can you trust? James Brown felt that because he had such a big platform and a big audience, there was no way he could just sit back without giving his voice and becoming a voice for his people.
But Say It Loud came at a cost.
It was a #1 R&B song, and it was a top 10 pop song. But it was the last top 10 pop song he had because a lot of radio stations around the country didn't want to play his music anymore. That's when they really started this whole thing of the hype man and the artist, and it was kind of the precursor to what you see now with rappers and the hype man on stage. Payback might be the best record he ever made, you know, and he was 40 years old when he made it. That was actually supposed to be the theme for a movie called Hell Up in Harlem.
You hear that?
But his 20-year run as a defining force in popular music finally began to wane in the second half of the decade.
For one, musically, disco came in, and other funk bands started coming along and adding more to the funk formula that was just more interesting. Parliament Funkadelic had the sci-fi thing going on. Earth, Wind & Fire had the cosmic stuff going on. Plus, he was having personal problems. Usually, artists have problems with drugs and violence and all that when they're younger, and then when they get older, they start mellowing out. With him, it was the opposite. You know, he was on it when he was the man, but when he got away from the spotlight and he had to just deal with himself, I think that's when all those demons started coming up. One thing about James Brown, he loved America. You know, it didn't matter how bad things got, he refused to believe that this country was a bad place. James Brown's legacy is massive because, for one, he pretty much started entire genres. Sly and the Family Stone, Parliament Funkadelic, Kool and the Gang, all of these artists followed the template that he provided, and people are still working off